The Australian 4th Division was formed in the First World War during the expansion of the Australian Imperial Force infantry brigades in February 1916. In addition to the experienced 4th Brigade were added the new 12th and 13th Brigades. From Egypt the division was sent to France. After the war ended and the AIF was demobilised, the division was dissolved. In 1921, the 4th Division name was reactivated as a citizen military forces formation. The division performed home defence duties for most of World War II, before deactivation in 1944. History. World War I. Formation in January 1916. Major General A. J. Godley, then commanding the Australian and New Zealand Army Corps and the AIF, put forward a proposal to use Australian reinforcements then training in Egypt to form two new divisions. The Australian government concurred and the Australian 4th Division was formed in this expansion of the Australian Imperial Force infantry brigades. In February 1916, in addition to the experienced 4th Brigade, there were added the new 12th and 13th Brigades. Egypt. The 4th Division began forming in Egypt in February 1916. The new division included the 4th Infantry Brigade, 4th Field Company, 4th Field Ambulance and 7th Army Service Corps Company, which had fought at Gallipoli. The 12th and 13th Infantry Brigades were formed by taking half the personnel of the 4th and 3rd Infantry Brigades. Delays in assembling the artillery meant that the division could not depart for France before June 1916. The division was initially stationed on the Suez Canal. In June 1916 it moved to France, taking over part of the nursery sector near Armentières. Its stay there was brief and soon it was accompanying the 1st and 2nd Divisions to the Somme sector. In August 1916 it relieved the 2nd Division on the Pozières Heights and repulsed a major German counterattack. It then drove north to the outskirts of Mouquet Farm. A second tour of the Somme at Mouquet Farm followed in September and a third at Flers in October. Hindenburg Line. On the 11th of April 1917 the division assaulted the Hindenburg Line in the First Battle of Bullecourt. The battle was a disaster and 1170 Australian prisoners were taken by the Germans. In June it participated in the Battle of Messines. In September it participated in the Battle of Polygon Wood. In March 1918 the division was rushed to the Somme region to stem the German offensive. The Australian 3rd and 4th Divisions had been ordered to proceed to Amiens to strengthen the retreating British 5th Army. There it repulsed the advancing Germans in hard-fought battles at Hebutton and Ernancourt. The Battle of Ernancourt involved the Australian 12th and 13th Brigades on the railway embankment and cuttings in Ernancourt, just south of Albert. The understrength Australian brigades faced 4 German divisions totaling about 25,000. Situated on the western side of the Ancre River Valley, the Australians formed a defensive line at the railway embankment, from which they held back German attacks. The Australian 48th Battalion soon found itself outflanked by German to its rear. The 48th was ordered to hold at all costs but by midday was facing annihilation and the senior officer ordered a withdrawal. Much like the actions at Bullecourt the previous year, the Australian battalion withdrew successfully and in order. This action costs 12th and 13th Brigades 1,100 casualties. In April its 13th Infantry Brigade was involved in the counterattack at Villers-Bretonneux. On April 21, German deserters revealed that German attack preparations were nearing completion. They revealed that the attack would commence early on April 24, with the first 2 to 3 hours consisting of gas shelling. British aerial observations revealed German troops massing in trenches less than 2 kilometers south of Villers-Bretonneux in Hanged Wood. On the night of April 22-23, British and Australian artillery shelled German mustering areas. At dawn, the infantry was standing ready, but no attack eventuated. Most of the activity on this day was in air as planes from both sides crisscrossed the battlefield, bombing, strafing and engaging in dogfights. It was during one of these dogfights that the German Red Baron was shot down over Australian lines, north of Villers-Bretonneux at Corby. The strongest evidence points to Australian Sergeant Cedric Popkin of the 24th Machine Gun Company, 4th Division as firing the actual bullet that killed Baron Manfred von Richthofen. The division went on to fight in the Battle of Hamel, Battle of Epernay, Battle of Amiens and the Hindenburg Line, finally reaching the town of Bellenglise. The division was not selected to advance into Germany. Demobilization commenced in late 1918 and in March 1919 the division merged with 1st Australian Division. Commanders 1916, March, Gen. H.V. Cox 1916 1917, March, Gen. W. Holmes 1917-19, March, Gen. Ewan Sinclair McLagan. Casualties killed in action, 8,360. Died of wounds, 2,613. Other deaths, 872. Prisoners, 2,076. Wounded, 27,127. Total, 41,048. Interwar years. In 1921, the 4th Division name was revived and was assigned to an Citizen Military Forces unit based in Melbourne, which served in Australia during World War II. After the outbreak of war with Japan, the division became part of 3rd Corps, which was responsible for the defence of Western Australia. The division garrisoned Wa until it was inactivated in November 1944. Units subordinated to the 4th Division in World War II. 2nd Brigade 5th Melbourne University Rifles. 6th Brigade 23rd, 21st Battalion, 14th, 32nd Battalion, 19th Battalion, 13th Brigade 11th Battalion, 16th Battalion, 28th Battalion, 14th Brigade 36th Battalion, 49th Battalion, 12th Brigade 40th Battalion, 12th Battalion, 11th Brigade 31st 51st Battalion, 62nd Battalion, 26th Battalion, 20th Motor Regiment, 3rd Brigade 7th Battalion, 8th Battalion,